School Board. We'll start the meeting as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda this evening, public comment. If anybody, member of the public is here who'd like to comment on anything on the agenda, please step to the podium. All right, seeing nobody, we will close public comment at 5:16. All right, did any members of the board receive any public correspondence since we were last together? Todd, anything come in?
I did not receive anything in my office.
No, I didn't either.
I did speak to someone, and I can't recall what it was, so I apologize. I will try to remember.
Yeah,
It was obviously very important,
okay,
because I've forgotten all about it, so.
right. Well, yeah, I did talk to a few members of the public at or after the deliberative session, but nobody wanted it to rise to the level of me repeating it here, so we'll. All right. Next up, committee updates. What committees have met in the past 2 or 3 weeks?
Policy committee met. We discussed some tech stuff that's going to be coming up tonight. We discussed some other policies that'll probably be getting a little bit more review and then coming up in a couple more weeks, very likely. But very focused on kind of tech with some of the latest stuff, and then also redundant policies.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Anybody else?
I'll unmute myself. The PD committee, the district PD committee met this past week, looking at feedback from the January district PD day and finalizing the schedule for March PD day, and talking about the Adam Group training that will be happening at that PD day, and then some other just like follow-ups related to cybersecurity and tech-free days and whatnot. And again, I have to always point out that during those meetings, there are representatives from several different groups within the school district, and I'm always just so impressed that they take the time to make sure that PD is really tailored towards every single group and not lumping together, you know, the interventionists with this other group just because they could go to that, and really making sure that the professional development offered is meaningful to all categories of the staff. So,
Thank you. Any other committee, board comments? Any board members have anything to comment on this evening?
Just the fair funding issues, and thank you for signing in. I'll hear more tomorrow.
I just wanted to thank the superintendent and the district for their great presentation at the deliberative session. As always, did a fantastic job explaining the budget, so thank you.
And I'll add that I had a public comment that said this was very good.
Yeah, in addition to that, it was one of the better attended deliberative sessions we've had in recent years, so appreciate all the members of the public who braved the cold and came out, asked some really good questions, to be honest. I think more so during the town session than during the school district, but yeah, it's heartening to see folks come out and try to get a better understanding of how their local government operates. So thank you to everyone who showed up. All right, student representative Sawyer, what do you have for us this week?
Thank you. So to start off with some sports, for basketball this past week was rivalry week, and kind of the big nights were Tuesday. We had the girls' senior night against Epping, where they won 38-13, and Amaya Beckles is the third woman in school history to join the 1,000 Points Club, which
All
is
right.
huge. Congratulations to her, and then also all the seniors on the team. And then their next game is the 6th against Hinsdale at 5 p.m. away at NHTI. For boys basketball, their record is 10-4. They also had a game on Tuesday against Epping where they won 54-29. That was probably the best student section I've ever seen at a basketball game here, so that was a lot of fun. Their next game is also against Hinsdale at NHTI at 6:30. For indoor track, we're out of the regular season. This past Sunday was the 4x8 and high jump Division II state meet, where the boys 4x8 ended up getting 6th place, which was enough to medal in place, so that was pretty cool. And then this upcoming Sunday, the 8th, is everything else for states, and Ben Patrick will be running in the 3K, and then the boys 4x4 is also running. For hockey, they had
Aren't you on that team?
I am, yeah. For hockey, yesterday they had a game against Nashua North where they lost 4-0, and then their next game is this Saturday, the 7th, away against Bedford. For swim, yesterday they had their last regular season meet. They had the last chance meet, and then on the 14th they have their D2 state meet where Annika Benson is swimming in the 50 free and the 100 free. Aiden Wu is swimming in the 100 breaststroke, and the boys 4x2 free relay is also swimming. For things other than sports, drama had their Bodeborg field trip on the 28th. I heard a lot of good things, and that was a lot of fun. The sophomores had a field trip to SST to see if they'd be interested in attending next year. Meals Weekly, spearheaded by Annika Benson, Lily Thompson, and Avery Amata, is a news weekly recap that they're doing about what's happening in the school. It's really fun to watch. Junior Ava Zundel is selling jewelry where all of her proceeds, or all the profit, is donated to Elliott Hospital. Interact Club is currently making Valentine's Day cards for the Pines. And then there's also the Newmarket Has Heart food drive going on in the school right now. National Honor Society is holding a snow person making contest where the winners will win gift cards to local businesses. And then they're also hosting a baby clothing item drive. The sophomore class is selling carnation grams. And then last but not least, the Chocolate Fest is the 11th at 5:45, and that's a music festival. And then I'd also like to welcome up the National English Honor Society to talk about some upcoming initiatives.
I think you also had an announcement, Sawyer. Right? Didn't you have an announcement?
I got into my top college,
So,
University of Maryland.
sorry, I just had to make a
Sorry,
point
what
of that.
college is that?
University of Maryland.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. You know anyone who goes there?
The only one who pays tuition for you?
Yeah, right.
So invite your friends now that you've been thoroughly embarrassed.
Thank you. Yeah, National English Honor Society, please come up to talk about your upcoming initiatives.
Are you all together?
We're all together.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, well, we are all, come on up, don't be shy. We're all here to announce an event that's upcoming in March called Newmarket Unplugged, and you may have seen this sign downtown. Newmarket Unplugged is a day that we'll celebrate in March 7th to coincide with Global Unplugged Day. And the concept is just to be off our screens, to be connecting together. It's a citywide event where from 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, different organizations, sometimes some of our shop owners downtown are running events, very much like a first night. But I did want to get a little more personal and to tell you a little bit about the heart, I should say, of the spirit. Oh, that's right. I would like to tell you a little bit about the spirit of how Newmarket Unplugged came to be. I'm the librarian at the elementary school. I'm Jennifer Gulkazian, and this with me here is...
Hi, I'm Christy Lockhart. I'm a member of the PTA over at the elementary school, and this is my son,
Hi.
This is Jameson. He's a fourth grader at the elementary school.
And I was just reading about more than 50 years of research that has gone into talking about the benefits of community, families, and schools engaging together. Everybody wins, and our learners certainly benefit. Also, as a librarian, I was sort of hoping to get more students on board with reading instead of playing their electronics, right? A little bit of personal agenda. And I have to say that this idea came last May out of a number of efforts that the PTA and the school were working towards getting more students outside. As part of our school programming, we have Four Winds Institute coming, and the Nature Club, which both of us were part of. So that's a little bit of the spirit behind it. Well, let's hear a little bit more about that.
My inspiration for wanting to get set up with Unplugged is my kids. Jay, can you tell these lovely folks what's your favorite thing to do after school?
Video games.
Okay, and how about every single day of summer vacation?
Video game.
And any snow day we ever have?
Video.
So you get the gist. So that was why I really wanted to find a day where we're not shaming, we're celebrating. We're coming up with so many great organizations that have joined us, hoping it become an annual event where every year we come together and we just remind ourselves of all these great opportunities we have for connection in our community that don't require any technology. So we're really excited and just trying to get the word out. We have Celt is leading a trail in Newmarket. We have the Sunrise Strummers ukulele group from the senior center doing an hour of sing-alongs for families and kids. It's just a slew of fun things, and we're just really excited. So thank you for your time.
A couple more organizations involved. The Newmarket Public Library is holding events. The rec center is allowing us to use their space for an outdoor dance and hop. And the Newmarket Historical Society is involved. Celt is involved, Four Winds Institute, Seven Rivers, and many more. But our partners, I would say, the PTA at NES, our main partners are the Newmarket Arts, Culture, and Tourism Commission, and our very own high schoolers that are going to introduce themselves. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Amy Beth Taylor, the advisor of National English Honor Society. I'm going to let the students introduce what our participation is, and I'll give you a little flyer that you can keep too. And they have participated in the activity that they're going to be running, and they have constructed some poems that I'll let you look at for a minute as Nora gets started.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Nora, and I'm here with my fellow members of the National English Honor Society to share an exciting community initiative we'll be participating in next month.
Our chapter is joining the community-wide Unplugged Day, an event that encourages residents to unplug from technology and reconnect with everybody. We believe this aligns perfectly with our mission to create the written word and foster creativity among people.
To support this initiative, we're hosting a Blackout Poetry workshop that's open to all ages. For those unfamiliar, Blackout Poetry involves taking existing texts, such as newspaper articles or book pages, and creating new poems by selectively blacking out words while leaving others visible to form an entirely new piece of art.
This activity requires no prior writing experience and offers a perfect blend of creativity and accessibility. Participants will discover that poetry can be fun, visual, and surprisingly freeing when you start with words already on the page.
Our event will take place at the Beach Street Extension Rec Building from 2 to 4 p.m. We'll provide all materials and guidance, and we're hoping to engage families, students, and community members who might not otherwise explore creative writing.
We're grateful for the support our school has shown the National English Honor Society, and we're excited to represent our school while bringing our community together through the power of language. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you on March 7th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This is wonderful.
Yeah, apologies to Tim in the booth and to everyone watching at home that I didn't think about the microphone a little sooner. I was kind of caught up thinking about the philosophical statement of scanning a QR code to learn about Unplugged Day. So
Those are really neat.
It's deep.
You have to do it before the day.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good that he's not going home to do video games. I like that.
Yeah, and also for myself and the board, really, congratulations to Amaya. That's a huge accomplishment, and as well as both of all three of the basketball teams who played the other night. It was a tremendous showing, and something I felt good about, just I think is worth highlighting, is after the game and the yelling and cheering and, is over, the number of, Newmarket and Epping athletes who play together on other unrelated teams, just meeting up in the middle of the court after the game to say hi, slap hands, talk to each other. It's, after a game that's as hard fought as those games were, it's really nice to see. So thank you to Epping for coming out, being good sports about the dance-off, and, I'm sure they'll get us back the next time when it's at Epping, so. All right.
Can I put
Yeah.
just a plug in for the elementary school had their Hot Shots jump rope show this past weekend. And Mrs. Miller, who nobody knows how she does it, announced that it is her final jump rope show. And at the end, she did, I should backtrack. There were 170 jumpers. I think there's, 416 kids in the entire elementary school. And it's open to 1st to 5th grade. So a lot of kids choosing to do it. And the stands were so packed that people were sitting, I hope Dave doesn't hear this, sitting in the stairwells, blocking places. But then at the end, Ms. Miller spoke and received a standing ovation, of course. But one of the things that she said was, Newmarket is not like other communities, and Newmarket schools are not like other schools. So I was just in my head thinking, if I ever have to give some kind of speech, those are going to be words that I'll quote her for, because it was just so evident with the experience and just the energy walking in there for these kids to show off what they've been working so hard for. So it was just really great.
Yeah, put a pin in that part about having to give speeches for when the next board is selecting officers. No, yeah, thank you so much to Nancy for all the years that she's put into this. It's a tremendous program. All right, Todd, we've kept you away for as long as we can. Please.
It's okay. I can't compete with the Unplugged event. I did want to mention, actually, just to tie into the Unplugged event, we are planning a district-wide tech-free day on Friday, March 6th, the day before that. It's actually twofold. One is to tie into the Unplugged day the following day, but the other is also part of our cybersecurity planning, and if you don't actually practice functioning without technology once in a while, you don't have, strategies in place. So our teachers are working to plan a day that will, the old-fashioned pencil paper experiences and all that kind of stuff. So Friday, March.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll volunteer for the minute.
The machine?
Yeah, all of those wonderful, wonderful things. So anyway, I wanted to mention that. A couple of other things I wanted to update you on. Obviously, we've talked about this before, but I wanted to kind of give you a brief update. Obviously, last year we had some conversation about sort of the shop space and how to kind of start moving it towards more of a STEAM technology space. And we've done a lot of decluttering of the space, and we've certainly done some things to make it more useful for it to be used as a STEAM space. But we are at a point now where we need to make some decisions about that. I just want to kind of give a heads up to the board that at some point in the next a couple of meetings, Dave Riley and Andy and I will present to you some thoughts on how to move the program forward with some fairly low-cost investments to just adapt the space to make it more useful. A lot of it is around storage of, if you go in there now, you'll see there's a whole wall that is just robotics storage that is, taking up quite a bit of space and so forth. So we are going to be looking at that, but I did want to acknowledge a couple of potential funding sources. Impact fees, this is one of those things that would be an expansion of program, so it would be covered by impact fees. So if we needed to fund something, it could come from there. And the other thing which we've talked about is there's a lot of tools that are not being currently used that we can certainly sell and generate some revenue from. And so Dave is working on that, and we'll have a list for you to kind of talk about, but I just want to plant the seed that we've done about as much as we can without spending any money so far. And now it's like, okay, if we're going to make this a STEAM space where if we want to have like a 3D printer and all those things in there, we got to start thinking about how do we update the space. So again, I'm not ready to present it tonight, but I just want to give you the heads up on that. A couple of other things I wanted to mention. This is kind of a touchy subject, but I want to attempt to address it. Across the country, we have been watching immigration customs enforcement agencies acting all over the country. And I'm not going to get into judging it, but it has been certainly alarming. And I also think what it's done is it's uniquely put challenges on schools to kind of figure out how we can cope with it. I do want to acknowledge that we, right from the beginning, back in January, when it first became apparent that ICE was going to get aggressive, we began meeting with our local police department to talk about protocols and so forth. And we have a protocol that thankfully we've not had to use, and we continue hopefully to not have to use it. But in the event of some kind of an ICE action, we have a plan in place for how to address it. But one of the things we are realizing, and we've had a couple of meetings recently with the local police department and our own internal crisis team, and we realize one of the things we need to do is to start thinking about how we can support our community, because one of the frustrating things about immigration actions, there's no way for us to know who's vulnerable for those things. And frankly, I don't want to know. I mean, it's not my business. But we also don't want to make people feel like they're on their own and dealing with something. So I did want to let you guys know that I'm in the process of working with Laura Youngberg and some of the counseling staff to develop some resources to send out a letter to the community with just some resources available to people, ranging from contact information, who you can talk to if you need legal advice, or some planning documents so that families, and again, it wouldn't be for the school district collecting information, but just to give to families to think ahead, like what are the things we need to think about just in case. And sadly, we are in a place where there are a lot of families that are currently walking around carrying their passports and things like that to verify their citizenship status, and just to try to let people know we're here to support all families, but it's almost impossible for us to know who, but we want to be able to put those resources out. So I just wanted the board and the community to know that we are aware of that, and I hope sometime early next week to put out a communication to the community to just share those resources, not to cause alarm, because we are very fortunate. I can't say enough how fortunate we are that we have the police department that we have, they put the safety of our community first. And I do want to emphasize that they are regularly in communication with the ICE regional offices, and ICE has said repeatedly, and I wish I trusted it, but they have said repeatedly that any action that they would take in Newmarket, they would alert the local PD first, and then the police department would be involved. So so far, that's proven to be true, I think. But our police department is amazing, and they're there for us. Our resource officers are there for us. But we have to keep in mind that, frankly, just 2 weeks ago, there was a woman taken into custody up in Biddeford, Maine, who had a 5-year-old child, and there was just no plan for what to do with the child. And so anyway, we're trying to do the best we can to provide resources, but I think it's important that people understand that it's a challenging issue. The other thing I would say is I will also encourage people to reach out to administrators and or counselors in the district if there's anything we can do to help, because obviously we don't know what the issues are until somebody shares them with us. So I just wanted to talk about that, so that I want you to be aware of that. A couple of other things that are much less significant, but I think it's worth mentioning. You may have noticed, kind of lightheartedly, the blinking light on the crosswalk out here never works. And please know that that's not because the DPW has not been actively trying to solve it. I'm told that they've given up on being able to solve it internally. The cold weather is causing havoc with it, but they have an electrician coming ASAP to fix it, and I'm hopeful that it will work. But just acknowledging that particularly when we end a board meeting and go out there in the dark, the blinking light not working is problematic. So please know that we are aware of it, and we're doing everything we can to fix it. Another thing I wanted to mention to you, because thank you for your positive comments about the deliberative on Saturday, but one of the topics I talked about a lot was health insurance. And I do have a little bit of an update I wanted to share with you. School Care did its annual or quarterly meeting. And I just want to acknowledge that right now, financially, they're in a very good place compared to last year. They are well ahead of the levels they were at in 23, 24, and 24, 25, which certainly gives us cause to think, okay, well, at least for next year, we're in a better place. They did point out, however, utilization of health insurance, particularly the heavy users, people who need $75,000 or more a year in coverage. There's a higher number of those, and that is a challenge to the pool. But as of their most recent report, they're reporting things are pretty solid. They're ahead of where they were at this time in past years, and obviously they'll continue to give us updates, but we're pretty good right now. And the last thing I want to mention, because I was expecting Kathy to talk more about open enrollment, because I just figured that's her pet project. But I did want to.
I hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. But the legislature has been quite busy lately. Busy in a way that is very disruptive, because they have, as happened in the last session, there's this pattern of attaching non-germane amendments to bills to try to slip them through, and they have done that with open enrollment. So there is a universal open enrollment bill that is passed the Senate. It's called SB 101 in the Senate, but then they attached it to HB 751 in the House, which is not about open enrollment. It's, I'm trying to remember what the original intent of the bill is.
Substance abuse, mental health.
Thank you. Substance abuse, mental health. What we had been told initially was it was being fast-tracked. It was supposed to be being voted on today, which is what led to the letter that everybody has signed on this board, so I do appreciate that. It will go to the governor soon. But what ended up happening is, I think what's happening is cooler heads are starting to realize you don't want to do this in the cover of darkness. You want to do this in the open, because this is a big change. And so hopefully the pause is about rational thinking, not about fast tracking, which was last week kind of where people were afraid of. But I did want to let you know, I was at a superintendent's meeting this morning, and this was the topic of conversation for everybody. And the range of issues that it could cause if they're not properly thought out is just so dramatic. So anyway, thank you for everybody on the board signing on to that letter. But hopefully cooler heads are prevailing.
And if you happen to see the attachment with all the questions that were posed, statewide school board members were adding those, updating them over the weekend continually. And there's two school board members, one from Conval, and I don't know what the other one is, but they were right on it, because they've been right in the thick of it in their own districts. So they had, and Fair Funding New Hampshire had took the lead on it. So it was actually the first real action that the SBAN, School Board Network Association, that we called ourselves Action Network, put together, and they did it within 24 hours.
Yeah, it was very effective, very effective. And then there's the last thing I wanted to mention again. It's easy to talk about the negative coming out of the legislature, but they also address the audio-visual recording, and hopefully that will get passed. But they have, so we won't have to have Sawyer get permission every time we have a meeting to be here, because they basically the amendment that they added basically identifies public events as not being covered by the restriction. It only would be taping in the classroom for educational purposes.
So I have a question on that one, Todd. With HB 751, they carbon copied SB 101 onto that, but didn't they also put that audiovisual recording in that same bill?
You're testing my knowledge of the, if you say it happened, I believe you, Kathy.
No, you don't have to, no, please don't, but because I kind of have to backtrack on that a little bit, because I think hopefully it's on another amendment, but.
Yeah, it was passed in the Senate, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was gonna, so, yeah, it's, I'll double check on that. But I felt that the logic in it
Yeah.
made significant sense, and
Right.
even if it doesn't show up in that bill, I think
It will show up somewhere.
it's acknowledged by everybody that the intent was not to prevent kids playing in basketball games from being able to be videotaped. That was not the intention. And that's all I have.
All right. So, I mean, just for clarity, they did not vote on HB 751 today.
They did not vote on it. They have postponed at least another week. The theory being they're going to have some more hearings on it or collect more information.
What was the February 16th date, as was alluded in the message that we got, the note we got from the School Board Association? They said probably wouldn't be taken up before February 16th.
What I saw was February 12th was the date that I saw.
Yeah, okay.
And that was February 12th, that's a week,
That's the
next Thursday.
And just to clarify, and for maybe Sawyer's information, is that because HB 751 was passed in the House and then it went over to the Senate and had that amendment attached to it, it goes back to the House and it would not have a hearing. It would be, the vote would be to concur or not to concur,
Other direction, right?
What?
The Senate passed it, the House tacked it onto something, so it would go back to the Senate for a non-debate vote?
No.
No?
The
Okay.
Senate passed it
HB
and
went to
tacked
the
it on
Senate.
to the 751.
It's 751.
Oh, okay.
They attached them, and then that's why it would flip right back over to the House, but because it already had a hearing previously on that other bit, the main part, that there would not be any up or down, it would just be an up and down vote, there would be no discussion.
Yep.
And that was one of the,
This is silly, but have we asked Tim if he could apply like real-time blurring and voice modulation to Sawyer's
I think if we had to, we could.
And
We could have him pixelate the students so they don't show up. And you also have to distort his voice. So.
and I think through that whole discussion, I had my microphone off, so don't ask me to summarize it.
All right. Next on the agenda, we had the Newmarket Unplugged Committee, but we covered that previously at the end of Sawyer's report. So, Bryant, why don't you come tell us about the money?
Hello. So I asked everyone to just refer to the Q2 report that's attached to the agenda. And I'll start with an update on last year's financial audit. So we got the finalized report earlier this week, and the audit concluded that our financial statements were in good order and there were no unusual or key audit matters identified. So Plodzik, which is our audit firm, will come to a board meeting on March 19th to present the findings in person. I do want to note that the single audit, which is the part of the audit on federal grants, will not be part of that presentation. That's because the timeline for the single audit was delayed. Plodzik had to wait for some guidance from the DOE. And as a result, our single audit wasn't conducted until January 27th. And we don't expect the report to be ready for some time, maybe even a few months. So instead of having Plodzik make a second presentation to you, what I plan to do is just write a memo that will summarize the single audit results and then present them to you after that single audit report is finalized.
And the single audit was only about our ESSER fund use, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's only one fund, right?
Yeah. That's not always the case, but we just happen to be fortunate this year that they were only interested in one grant for some reason. Okay, so on to the Q2 financials. So as you know, the biggest factor driving important financial decisions this year has been the unexpected health insurance costs that were not budgeted for. So, that was $152,000 for the last minute switch from New Hampshire Interlocal Trust to school care, and then the $418,000 mid-year assessment. So those costs alone put us in the hole $570,000, which really has to be the starting point for any financial discussions this year. But fortunately, looking at the expenditures and encumbrances in the general fund as of December 31st, we do have some budget flexibility in some areas. So if you take a look at the two expenditure tables on page 2 and 3 of the report, I'll just summarize the key takeaways now. For salaries and benefits, we do have some flexibility from shifting 4 full-time equivalents to the SAS grant, which has saved us $163,000 in the general fund. We've also had 7 staff vacancies, so 1 social worker, 1 psychologist, 4 paras, and 1 tutor. This buffer is partly offset by the unbudgeted health insurance costs. The health dental insurance budget line is projected to be overspent by $513,000 this year. So even after factoring in the $132 transfer from the Health Insurance Benefits Trust Fund, that number is still $381,000. So that's salaries and benefits. On the operational side of the budget, we had to use approximately $200,000 in savings from the staff vacancies to cover unbudgeted special ed services that we needed to contract out. Professional services is the only operational budget line with a large negative variance, forecasted at $125,000 right now. That would have been even higher, but we've had some savings with legal expenses that we have not had to use that year to date, at least so far. Also positively affecting our budget is out-of-district tuition expenses, which have come in significantly lower than what we budgeted. Current forecasts indicate approximately $90,000 in savings from Seacoast School of Technology enrollment and $390,000 for special ed tuition. So while these amounts may change, it's likely we'll see a lot of substantial tuition savings this year. Other budget categories, I'm talking about things like substitutes, supplies, PD, and repairs and maintenance. They're currently showing a surplus, or at least as of the end of December, but we do expect this, most of these funds will be spent down by the end of the school year. One line item that I'm closely monitoring is utilities and fuel, given just how cold it's been this winter. So summing up expenditures as of December 31st, the general fund showed a $1.4 million budget surplus, but with anticipated expenditures, a very conservative estimate of the year-end unexpected balance, I would say, is closer to $400,000. So I'll pause here because this is kind of the crux of the report for any questions.
So the encumbrances, I swear I ask this question every year, but a way to think about that is things that we know are going to happen between now and the fiscal year are generally in that number. We know who works for us, we know how much we pay them, so if it's knowable, it's probably there.
Yeah.
What doesn't appear in the encumbrances are things that aren't knowable at this point, like whether we're going to spend an extra 10 grand on propane, or that's the right way to think about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
I'm not so sure it's a question, it's more of a statement, I guess. Assuming we do hit 400,000 unencumbered or unexpended fund balance, it's obviously significantly lower than we've ever gone, and will have some impacts on our decisions, so we have to make.
Just to clarify, that's the budget surplus. I'll be talking about the what the fund balance will be at the end of the report.
Then I will withdraw my statement.
But the issue you're raising is absolutely something we need to be thinking about, for sure. 'cause
Then
it's-
I'll reiterate my statement after withdrawing it.
Say it louder.
Skip ahead.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but you are correct, the surplus is lower than we would typically see.
Other questions about the cost side of the equation? All right, let's scroll on down.
All right, just a couple quick comments on food service. Our fund balance at the end of fiscal year '25 was within this threshold allowed by federal regulation, so we don't need a spend-down plan this year, whereas we did last year. And then if you look at page 4 in the report, you'll see that food service expenditure appears kind of low year-to-date. This is just because we hold off payment to our contractor Fresh Picks until we're satisfied with this reconciliation process that we do every month. And then from October to December, this required a bit of follow-up to get invoices and other supporting documents. But I'm happy to say that all the reconciliation issues have been sorted out as of the end of 2025. So those have been resolved, and we made a large payment in January of $141,000.
Is that kind of a standard timeline for reconciliation with some
No.
vendors?
No, I mean, it really should be done within the month, but we've just had some problems, responsiveness problems, and then
Sure.
getting the actual hard copy of the invoices that
Sure.
we need.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to revenues, we're right on track with that. There's no surprises there. I'll point out a couple minor variances. So the earnings on investments, they have been higher than forecasted. So this is the interest earned in our bank account. If you look on page 5 and 6, you'll see that special education aid, it appears as zero as of December 31st, but that deposit came in right after the new year. And it was actually 30% higher than what we budgeted for. So that's a bit of good news. And we're also on pace to receive more federal grants than the $400,000 that we budgeted for. So given these higher than expected revenues, a very conservative estimate of the revenue surplus by the end of the year is $50,000. And then lastly, at the halfway point, a couple more revenue lines for Medicaid and food service. You'll see that they're lower than 50%, but this is just a result of the lead time for the claim processing or the claim filing and the reimbursement process. So I would say nothing to worry about there. And as a reminder to everyone, we do post our monthly revenue report. It can be found on our website.
So I wasn't aware that we did that. That's fantastic. That's really a good thing to do. So applaud you.
Okay, so then next is impact fees. And you'll remember in November, you approved using impact fees totaling $33,458 to pay for upgrades that will expand electrical capacity in the classrooms. Overall, for the school district, we have $255,000 in total impact fees available. And good news is that fees that expire within the next 2 years, so that's by end of December 2027, that's less than $5,000, so we don't have fees expiring in the immediate term.
Impact fees are only on new construction, correct? Am I correct on that?
You mean in terms of collecting or what we can use them for?
No, as far as being collected by the town.
Yes, when there's a new construction project, they collect them. And
But the reason I bring it up is I've talked to the town manager before, and I think it's kind of known that the buildable areas in the town for new construction are rapidly dwindling. So I don't think impact fees are something we should, and not that we count on them, certainly, but certainly not something we should be planning on having in the future.
good point.
Yeah, so capital reserves and trust funds. We had an aggregate balance as of December 31st of $1.8 million. You can see the breakdown on page 8 in the table. That's down from the beginning balance on July 1st of $2 million. This is a net result of $265,000 transferred in from last year's warrant articles, $200,000 for the school improvement fund, and $65,000 to special education, combined with transfer out of $35,000 for the school technology fund to offset technology equipment costs, and a total of $491,000 for school repairs and maintenance. So that went towards the roofing repairs at the junior and senior high school and to complete the windows project at the elementary school. And before the end of the year, we expect one more transfer out to empty out the insurance and benefits trust, as we previously discussed. One important note I want to make on the yields from the funds. So from July to December, the average monthly return was 3.6%. That was a total gain of $36,119. However, if you look at just quarter 2 alone, so from October to December, it was substantially lower at 1.5%. So I think the Q2 yields are more accurate in terms of reflecting the current interest rate environment. So it's probably a more realistic expectation that earnings for the remainder of the year are along those lines. And then
Sorry, apparently I'm very vocal tonight. Todd, do you meet with the trustees of the trust fund to kind of indicate when we expect some of the trust funds to be used and give them an investment time horizon?
I do not regularly meet with them. Certainly, we have conversations with the town when we're thinking ahead to using trust funds, but I don't have a role in.
There are open positions. I don't know if anyone's getting off the board soon.
I will say.
But there are open positions on the trust fund, trustees of the trust fund.
I will say as we know, that was a topic of concern a couple of years ago, and there has been much more of an aggressive plan to manage them. I think what we're facing now is the initial shifting around of money, which led to the 3 to 4% interest rate is now.
Well, the market's changed.
But
it also is a time horizon issue, right? So they're thinking very short term, and bond funds and all that yields are so much lower now, so. Yeah.
Trustee, should be somebody good at math.
Yeah, right? We could think of someone we should come
Moving
up with.
right along.
Recruiting you already.
Okay, sorry. The last thing I'll talk about is the fund balance. So I took a shot at estimating what our unassigned fund balance may look like at the end of the year. This is based on current assumptions and the updated financial forecasts. So one fortunate thing is we had some restricted fund balance. This is the leftover money from the capital fund, which was closed, and will be applied to our bond payment this year. So that basically frees up $215,641. So then if you add back the 3.75% retained fund balance from last year, which was $856,843, include the forecasted revenue surplus and the forecasted budget surplus, you would subtract out, and this is assuming 2.5% for the retained fund balance at the end of this year, and then assuming the appropriation from the warrant article number 5, that's the $150,000 going into the health and benefits trust, will leave an unanticipated year-end fund balance of around $750,000. Of course, we still have half a school year to go. So we need to keep a close watch on our spending. More surprises could always spring up. But given the shock of what happened with the health insurance, I think we're doing all right, all things considered. This is kind of where we projected to be. So I think it is likely you will have some maneuverability at the end of the year to consider, various strategies on how to handle the retained fund balance.
One of the things I wanted to, and again, I 100% agree with Bryant that it's too early to make a determination on it, but at least preliminarily, as we start to head into the second half of the year, one of the things we talked about with paying the remaining balance of the health assessment was to draw down the retained fund balance and only set aside the minimum. And I think one of the things we might be able to have a conversation about is not having to do that. Because one of the things you realize, if you draw it down to the minimum, you have to immediately replenish it, and so you don't have the wiggle room you would have moving forward. And it might be in our best interest to think about trying to get it up to that 3.5%, 3.75% level to give us maximum flexibility. But the point right now, based on projections, that might be a possibility to not just fund the retained fund balance to the minimum, something to think about as we head in that direction.
When do we vote on that? I was trying to remember whether we'd already done it. I've only been on the board for a little while, so I don't remember when we
Officially,
do it.
you don't decide it until really the end of June, 1st of July.
I know we have talked about it, but okay,
I
great.
mean,
That's
but
good to have.
strategically, we talked about it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And I think we know that strategy will work, but given our situation, it might be better for the district
Yeah,
to not follow through.
based on forecasted fund balance, that's certainly something we should rethink about.
And the other thing I think would be worth mentioning to the SAS grant that we have been dealing with, we're still waiting on it, but they, just like everything with federal grant programs, you want to talk about that? Because I know you're.
Yeah, so Erica is expecting a second tranche of that SAS grant. We're not sure what the allocation will be, but if that happens, we can shift more salary and benefits to grant funding. And we have some unspent funds from the first tranche that they said we can carry over in the neighborhood of, I think it was like $80,000. I'm not sure if that can be spent on salaries because you need to earmark certain or certain amounts to certain line items.
I think it's only like 80% of it can be used for salaries or something like that.
Yeah, right. So potentially that will free up some more money.
Right. So there's, potentially more positive news to come. That's what we're trying to say.
And I think last year we discussed it in June, because it was my first meeting, well, one of my first meetings, and I was learning. How about you?
I wasn't ready to listen yet.
Other questions for Bryant? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Well done, Brian.
All right, next up, Jason is going to tell us about his plans for getting rid of all the stale technology that we have sitting around.
Yes, so we're actually planning on working with a new company to do our e-recycling. As you can see, we have, about 300 pieces of equipment, from Chromebooks, laptops, desktops, all stuff that's outdated, taking up space on our shelves right now. So working with a company, they're certified for their e-recycling, so it's not going to end up in the Lamprey River or somewhere dangerous, so it's going to get recycled responsibly. And they also provide proof certificate of destruction, ensuring that there's no staff and student data on any of the equipment. So those are really the two things we're looking for when sending gear out for recycling. If you'll notice the recycling process, you'll see some numbers in there. They're not missing zeros. That's actually what we're looking to get back. My technician, Austin, who I'm sure you've all met, said, hey, when I worked in Rochester, we used to get money back on recycling gear. I said, hey, if you want to look into this, that's great. That's better than what we had been doing. And so he does the work, talks to a few different vendors, and then they weren't able to quote him, but talking to Rochester, he said, yeah, they used to get back, about $100. So it's better than nothing, right? But definitely.
The budget problem is solved.
Yeah.
It's funny, even old networking gear, I've reached out to multiple vendors and they say, hey, send me a list of stuff, and you send it to them and they're like, yeah, we can't sell that. They'll end up having to dispose of it,
So we're the hand-me-down district, we don't have to hand her down, so is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're sitting on, the networking gear I have trouble getting rid of, so just for a rainy day. So we usually sit on that, but a lot of this gear, Chromebooks will sit on for a little bit. If we have students that are habitual, they're constantly destroying their device, they may get an older piece of equipment knowing that it's probably not going to last too long. So we keep a percentage of it, but for the most part, we send this stuff out and make sure it gets recycled responsibly.
I think it's important to have a technology recycling or cycling program so that you're keeping up with technology and you're not keeping around equipment that's antiquated or unserviceable. But I think I brought this up at the budget planning workshop we did as well. Things like monitors, ceiling speakers, projectors, I think that unless they don't work or aren't compatible with new technology, you know, getting rid of a projector that's still working doesn't make a ton of sense if you just have a spare, right? And it's going to take you an hour to replace it, so there's not really a ton of downtime. Have we looked into that sort of planning, or are these projectors out of?
Sure, so whenever we replace, we keep some spares, knowing that we might have to replace one. So we do that. The speakers you see, they're broken, so they're.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there's a lot of ceiling speakers going in.
Yeah, that's one of the dilemmas we face every year. You know, we had the discussion at the budget planning meeting, whenever that was. I don't know, sometime in the fall. It was a Saturday. I remember that.
It was a Saturday.
Where it's like this gear's up for replacement, especially projectors. They're one of the tough ones because they could last. When I reach out to a vendor and say, hey, when should I replace this laser projector in here? It could last 10 years. It could last 15 years. So waiting until it breaks is tough too for, you know, a $5,000 piece of equipment. But to answer your question, we do keep some gear around. We're not replacing stuff that
things that just make sense, like keep until it breaks.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting rid of it because we're on a 5-year rotation for monitors or whatever.
Yeah, monitors, usually we buy once and they kind of sit around. But projectors are those one weird piece of equipment that you either replace it while it's still working and hope you're planning right.
Are there any programs where like students want to like do surgery, take apart?
Laura Bascombe does she'll ask for some old computers once in a while, and kids take them apart. But you bring up, and I don't know how I would ever make this work, and maybe I shouldn't even throw it out there, but I always said if we could
Too late
have
now.
some type of a business class, I don't know, where this stuff got listed on eBay, we'd get more than $100 for it. I know that would probably be a nightmare with trying to ship and organize students to list stuff, and if it would even be possible, but look on eBay at a used charger, and people are getting $10, $15 for it instead of going to the landfill. So I don't want to be responsible for that.
It's not what I heard, Jason. I heard you wanted to run the eBay plan program.
Would that be something that could go on the high school Facebook marketplace site?
There's some options, but again, it would be getting something as
You know,
opposed
we
to.
do have to follow our own district policies around
That
disposal
too.
of things and so on, so we have to make sure we do what's required. But yes, we can post things once we've determined that there is no useful purpose to them for us.
Yeah, I know the group who sets the policies, but you could probably talk to them.
You probably could, yeah, you probably could.
I'm just going to be the contrary voice here. You're asking for a nightmare. If you start doing
And
this.
that's probably the way or the reason why we do it this way. But yeah, getting rid of equipment that still has some life or use left in it is, you know.
Or even, I'm just thinking, if we're not getting anything for it anyway, are there, 150 kids that could use a device at home that may or may not last however long?
These aren't good for playing video games.
No, but this.
You're pretty much like being unplugged, is that what you're
It's
saying?
the device that they use all the time is the school device, and summer comes and, there's.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works with Chromebooks. I'll just share my experience with Windows corporate computers. Getting Intune to let go of them so that somebody can actually install software on it is a nightmare. Anytime you connect it to the internet, it's going to try to phone home, it's going to get confused, it's going to think it needs to download GPO again. Chrome may work very differently, but at a minimum, I wouldn't want to do this at any sort of scale until I'd verified that, because you're going to end up with his phone ringing off the
Sure.
hook going, hey, I brought this computer home and it won't let me install.
The Chromebooks do work well as far as being released from our management. So our 12th graders, whenever they graduate, they're able to keep their device. We
I happen to be
release them, they
using a
basically
hand-me-down
restart.
Chromebook, actually.
There you go, so, but something to maybe consider at some point. But yeah, if we start handing out devices, and they're gonna come back to where they got it to get service and so forth.
You have to make that clear, yeah.
What's that say about every good deed?
As is, the two
Yeah,
most
sure,
important
sure.
words to. All right, any other questions for Jason, or did we cover everything for you?
That's it, yeah. I'll let you
Okay.
know. If it's more than $100, I'll be sure to Todd and Brian know.
That'd be a good problem to have, Jason.
For sure.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, next up, we just want to acknowledge the agreement we were able to come to with the Newmarket Teachers Association, fixing the long and painful saga of
Our
health
long
insurance.
healthcare nightmare is over, yes. So yes, we arrived at an agreement. And actually, I also have been able to resolve things with the para-union as well around the same question.
Oh, okay.
So just to remind the board, you authorized me to enter into the conversation with them, and I have signed on behalf of the board, agreeing to this MOA for health insurance.
Stupendous.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a new policy that we're going to do a first read of tonight, KIA, the Visitor Wireless Network Policy, which is both an update and also kind of supersedes some previous policies to make things ideally a bit simpler. Jason, would you like to say a few words about it?
Sure. Give me one sec here. Gotta zoom in. So this policy is titled Visitor Wireless Network. So in the past, common practice has been open guest wireless networks. So you show up to an event or building, location. Wireless is readily available. Folks sign in. So it's been, pretty easy to do, pretty easy to get on. With all the changes we've made regarding cybersecurity, we continue to tighten things while still ensuring that the priority staff and students, we want our students and our staff members to be able to get on, access what they need to, and still provide some access to visitors versus just an open network to guests. So currently we had 2 procedures that were set up for staff members and students, and those were regarding guest wireless. So we have a student BYOD network in policy that we adopted, I think at the beginning, or maybe it was last year, for those cases where students bring in devices that aren't ours. We're currently working on a version for staff members so that they can bring in it's going to be cell phones really, not devices. In there, we want to make sure they're not using a personal device to do work on, basically download any staff or student data on their personal device. So we created these BYOD networks. We're actually working on automating a lot of that. So when our staff and students join, everything happens in the background. They go to the correct network, and there's no logging into networks or anything like that. So we have the BYODs in place for students, working on it for staff, and what we're dealing with right now is working on getting rid of those procedures that are in place for staff and students that allow the guests wireless access and only allowing visitors. So no more open network, folks show up and can get on our environment. Instead, this is going to be for folks like trainers that come in for professional development days to get online. They get internet only. They can't get to anything inside of our network. So throughout this whole process, working on BYOD and guest, we've really been able to take a look at who our user base is, right? We have our staff and students, and then we have visitors and not so much guests. So that's the spirit of the policy, and it's worth noting that it's actually in the school community home relations versus under where it was before as a guest wireless network under, I think it's responsible use policy procedures. So we kind of shifted things around. This policy is actually what we're doing and going to be doing, whereas the guest wireless network is kind of what we've done in the past. Any questions? Spit a lot out there.
So does that mean if I come to a basketball game, I can't get on the internet?
You already can.
Oh, I can't. Oh.
Nothing works in the gym, nothing at all.
That's true too. We could buy.
You're lucky you have air to breathe.
And the clock works.
The clock does work, though.
But as a board member with Newmarket user accounts,
Yeah.
you would be able to get on to the wireless. So we know who you are when you log in. We know what device you're on versus someone showing up. Now, one example I use is we had the career day. So counseling says, hey, we have 60 people coming in. They're going to need internet access. Under this policy, we create a visitor network just for the day or for that 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Give shared credentials, and then when they leave, network comes down, and there's no worry about students getting on that network because it doesn't exist when the event's over. So a little more control, or a lot more control than what we had been doing. So.
Other questions for Jason? All right, and just for the minutes, I realized I forgot to say that this will be policy KIA if adopted, and we will vote on it next week. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Continuing on with policy, the policy committee reviewed and is recommending that we rescind a total of 7 existing policies that have been obviated, superseded, or in some way are no longer relevant. I'm not going to read through them all. They're in the agenda and they'll be in the minutes, but essentially the first 3 all relate to technology and all are now covered by other policies that we have, or the one on Google Apps is just irrelevant at this point. It was created a long time ago and it's not really germane to anything we're doing now. The last 4, early graduation, interdisciplinary credit, high school graduation competencies, and alternative credit options are being superseded by its
IK and IKF.
IK and IKF, the new policies that are coming down from the new 306s from the Board of Ed. All right, next on the agenda, budget communication discussion. Todd has some thoughts on how we explain the budget to folks.
Right, yeah, I just wanted to raise the issue. I mean, obviously, we've had the deliberative session, and now the answering community questions and so forth comes up. Obviously, the video that we worked with Dave Cartuna to do, that's out in the public domain, and there are 4 what we call pillar videos that are sub-videos within that we can put out in smaller segments, and I'll be asking Tim to help me with that at some point. But we'll be able to push those out over the course of time. Ellen is working on the brochure that we've used in the past that we can certainly put out in various locations, but I wanted to kind of put it to you as a board. Are there other things that you think we should be doing to educate the community about our budget and the warrant?
thank you. Is there a way to lead them to the recording of Saturday's deliberative session?
Well, that actually is already on Facebook and
Yeah.
multiple places. It's on our website, so if you go, it is there.
To highlight that?
But yeah, we can certainly push it out to remind people. What I will probably do is a couple of times over the course of the next month, I'll kick out emails to people just reminding them that our website exists and there are all kinds of resources for people to go to and look at. The one thing I worry about is that my email network is just school-connected people, and certainly to the extent we want to broaden ourselves, I would mention, and I think I've already mentioned this to you before, I do have a scheduled meeting with the Moody Point Homeowners Association right after February vacation. Steve and I both have done that the last couple of years just to share the budget and answer their questions. But anyway, yeah, so all that exists.
Does it make sense to put out like political, just like some of the little road sign kind of things that you see, like on things that the board has voted unanimously on? Can we put stuff out that just says, you know, yes on blah, blah, blah?
We can't, the board can't politic that way. A
Okay.
community group could if they wanted to, if we felt that was necessary. What the board can do is educate, so we can certainly direct people to where they can get more information about it, offer to answer their questions, that kind of thing. But we can't, now that we've done our job, we've put it out there, it made it through deliberative, the board is no longer you can act as individual citizens, but you can't act as a board to politic.
I was just thinking placement in terms of some flyers in the community. I did happen to see the snowman making competition at June's Cafe because other people were sort of talking about it who are of voting age. So I don't know, I mean, I'm happy to take some to put in some places, but I think that, you know, it's going to be where people
That's what I was thinking.
gather, eat breakfast.
That's what I was thinking, is I think there's three sort of avenues you're gonna hit people, right? You're gonna either put something where people see it in their normal life, the marquee out front, you know, QR codes and on boards and things like that. You're gonna go to where people congregate and talk to them as a group, or something electronic. And probably not video games, although it's a popular activity. So, yeah, I think the electronic one, maybe the posters and with the QR code's a good idea, but I think it's getting the social media avenues that people use and getting the content small enough that someone like my attention span can handle watching is kind of the key.
I can bring some also to, the PTA has
You
a
bring it to
big,
the Unplugged Day, yeah.
just
Again, this
a
QR
wealth
code.
of communications with people out there, so I'm happy to bring some.
Yep. So we'll fast track getting the flyer done sometime next week, and we'll let you guys know, and you can obviously distribute them wherever you'd like to go.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, and the last thing we had on the discussion agenda is just an update, touch point on re-looking at the goals we set for ourselves as a board back when we first convened last spring, and starting to think about what the board's self-evaluation looks like for the end of this year. So, apologies, let me get this open here.
I'm looking at the district website. Can we put information out on that for the budget, for the, what we were just talking about, the,
We already have stuff on there, yeah.
it's already on there?
Yeah,
The video.
the video, yeah, if you go to.
That's where the video is, yeah. Because I know I saw the video, it was very
If
good.
you go to under the school board, there's a section called School Election and Budget Information. And when you go there, there's the proposed budget, the warrant, and then there's a bunch of links to various documents and the videos.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, so I won't read the text of each individual goal, but we set 4 goals for ourselves as a board. Community engagement being one, the district website being the second, post-graduation student achievement, which was a goal to, to get a better understanding of that and see whether we're preparing the students well for life after high school. And then the fourth goal was centering student activities and achievement, which is exactly what it sounds like, I guess. So, as a board, we need to essentially come up with some sort of common point of view on how did we do relative to these goals we set for ourselves. It's not something we have to present to anyone or file with the state or something like that, but it's just probably it's a healthy part of the exercise. If you set goals for yourself and never go back and see whether you achieve them, what are you even doing? So I don't know if anybody would like to take a first crack at just drafting something. I feel like I end up, I'm probably have the least ongoing vested interest in this of anyone, so. Yeah.
Why is that, Dan?
Can't imagine. Yeah. Yeah, the trust funds have really nothing to do with this. All right, yeah, Lonnie, if you'd like to, take a crack at it, circulate it, we can all weigh in with thoughts and opinions. And, again, it's just a healthy process because we thought these things were important. Where did we actually get over the past year? All right. So next on the agenda, looks like we have a donation from the American Heart Association that we'd like to acknowledge.
Yes, it is for $1,000.
So we will need to vote on that one?
Yes, we will. It's acknowledged, and then later on you'll approve it.
Okay.
No, it says, it actually says, I checked, it says the superintendent may accept gifts in the amount of $1,000 or less.
Don't you like voting?
So apparently we don't need to, we just acknowledge
Okay, we're
it.
going to quibble? Okay, well, all right, I'm happy to accept it.
Well, I mean, that's what the policy says.
Okay.
All right.
Because I keep forgetting, so I check.
What was that for?
It was.
Oh, the jump rope.
Yep, for the elementary
Wonderful.
school jump rope club. Okay, so moving along to our action items for the evening, I would accept a motion to approve the public and non-public minutes from our January 22nd meeting.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Gary. Thank you, Kathy.
There were no extra E's, I checked.
Brilliant.
I'm not even going to look then.
All right. Did anybody see anything in those that,
Yeah, I have a sort of a quibble, I guess. So historically, we've had separate public and non-public. These have kind of combined them in one document, which is fine. But I think there's some things we probably need to make sure we do. So for the non-public, we do need to have a discussion of, well, two things. We need to say why we're going into the non-public beyond just the particular RSA references. So in this case, it would have been to discuss ongoing negotiations with the union. And then we also have to include what we discussed in the non-public, which generally is discussed ongoing negotiations with the union. And then the other item is that we apparently have not included the adjournment from public session, so we probably should include that as well.
all right, anybody object to those additions? All right. Anything else in the minutes missing? All right. All those in favor of approving the January 22nd public and non-public meeting minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
We are unanimous. I would accept a motion to approve the minutes from the school deliberative session held on January the 31st.
Motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Thank you, Lonnie.
I do hope Ellen was able to do some copy and pasting because it was like.
It's pretty straightforward, yeah, there wasn't a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, I didn't, yeah, it's pretty cut and dried, so unless anybody sees anything that requires editing. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the January 31st deliberative session meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are unanimous, 5-0. I would accept a motion to approve the manifest.
She could have come at me hard with those manifest documents today. I know, I didn't sign them yet.
Yeah, you got ahead of us.
Oh, I did? Oh, that's right. That policy meeting.
I move to approve the payroll and AP manifest for February 5th, 2026 in the amount of $1,506,138.64.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are unanimous. I would look for a motion to rescind the policies and procedures listed in the discussion item, which are JICL R2, GBEF R2, JICL R3, IFKA, IKAA, ILBAA, and IMBC.
I move that we rescind that list of policies and
I think you have
procedures
to
that
repeat
seems
them. Is
redundant
that-
at this point.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Jeff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you vote, or?
Oh, I said aye, sorry.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, we have nominations for coaches for spring sports. Just to run through them real quick, Stan Jerkois returning for varsity baseball, Todd Berry returning for varsity softball, Jack Noon for JV baseball, Megan Savanasang for JV softball, Blake Neary, who will coach anyone running anywhere for outdoor track, Jacob Zecker, who will be assisting Coach Neary for track, Kevin Flewitt for middle school baseball, and Dave Burke for middle school softball. I'd accept a motion to approve those nominations.
So moved. And thank you to those.
Thank you,
coaches.
Lonnie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. And yeah,
We've got them all filled.
yeah, big thanks to all of our coaches, both from within the school and community volunteers. It, means a ton to the kids, so we appreciate it.
And a lot of returnees. Yep.
Yes, and a lot of people returning from having done this for multiple years, so it's, really good for the programs. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are unanimous. I promise this is the last one. I'd accept a motion to, well, actually, no, we decided that we're just going to let Todd accept that donation, so I'll
It's
scratch
exactly
that one
1,000.
off.
All right, I will accept it.
Yep. All right, I would accept a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, Part 2A and Part 2C for an employee matter and for a student matter.
So moved.
Thank you, Gary.
Second.
Thank you. I'll give that one to Lonnie.
She got the whole word out.
So by roll call vote, Lonnie Stebbins. Dan Smith, aye. Gary?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Jeff? All right, we are in non-public, Channel 8. We will not be coming back on the air.